All right, hello and welcome everybody to the alumni panel. Where are they now? We are so happy that you can join us today, specifically our second year students, but this is open to anybody here at Brockport. I would like to welcome everybody, and we're kicking off Meet Your Major Month today. Starting all of October, we are going to be exploring through different virtual venues and events what different majors and minors we have to offer, where our students are going with them, how they're engaged with them, and where our successful alumni have gone. So thank you for being here tonight and kicking us off for Meet Your Major Month, each of you. I'd like to start with some introductions. If we could go around and if you could share a little bit about yourself, perhaps who you are, what your major was at Brockport, or your minor, or both, and your current kind of career path, and where you're calling in from tonight, because I know not everybody is local. So where are you from?
Pick one of us.
All right, you first want to talk is the first one to go.
Hello, everybody. I'm Bruce Manise, and I majored in psychology and elementary education. I've had a varied career. I've been a school psychologist for the past 25 years. After I left Brockport, I went to UB, and I got a master's in counseling there, and I also worked as a residence hall director at Buff State. From there, I went to LaSalle College, and I was a campus disciplinarian there. I was a real bad guy. My career morphed after that until finally, at about the age of 38, I became a school psychologist. I've been doing that for about 25 years, and I live in Vienna, Virginia, which is just outside of DC.
Thank you, Bruce. All right, we'll go down the list here, and I will ask Seth to go next.
Hi, everyone. My name is Seth Johnston. I currently live in Irondequoit, New York, which is near Rochester, with my wife and 12-year-old son and mother-in-law. I earned both of my degrees, my bachelor's degree from Brockport, as well as my master's degree from Brockport. My undergrad degree was in physical education. My master's degree was in athletic administration. And I am still at the college. I work at the college. My current title is Assistant Director of Transfer Credit Services, and I also serve as an assistant basketball coach for the men's basketball team.
Oh.
Thank you, Seth. We'll go with Justin.
Good, I guess it's evening on y'all side of town. So my name is Justin Oliver, go he, him, his pronouns. I'm from originally Lockport, New York, so go Bills. But I now live in Oakland, California. I work at UC Berkeley. But during my time at Brockport, I majored in communications, minored in business, and was very fortunate to also get my master's degree at Brockport as well. And then about 5 years ago, I moved out here for a job where I'm managing programs for new students, so freshmen and transfers, as well as a student program for freshmen go to London their first semester. So that's been kind of the adventure that I've been in since my Brockport days.
Thank you, Justin. Grace.
Hi, everyone. My name is Grace Kelly. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I'm a class of 2018 Brockport graduate with a degree in history and my inclusive childhood concentration. I'm actually currently still at Brockport working on my master's for literacy for grades birth through 12. And I'm currently the graduate assistant for a program called Summer Leap, which is a summer enrichment program with the Rochester City School District and SUNY Brockport.
Thank you, Grace. We'll head on over to Michael.
Hey guys, I'm Mike there, graduate of 09 in Brockport, bounced around majors, finally got a degree in broadcasting after working for the radio station. But at the same point, I was coaching football at Brockport High School, realized that was my passion. So I went back to Canisius, actually, in Buffalo to get my master's in education. Taught in upstate New York for a little while, but for the last 6 years now, I've been in New York City as a high school teacher and varsity head coach of 3 sports right here in the city.
Thank you very much for all sharing. We also have with us today Brittany, who is from the alumni office. If you want to introduce yourself.
Absolutely. So, hi guys, I'm Brittany Lang. Like Heather said, I work in alumni engagement here on campus, or not here, but there on campus. I'm a Brockport alum as well. I graduated in 2011 with a degree in dance. So it's a great place to be. You guys are at a great place in your lives right now, deciding what you're going to do, where you're going to go. And we hope that this helps a lot. And always feel free to reach out to our office or Heather's office. We're here for you. So we're just excited that you guys are here, and we're really excited that all of our alums are here to share their stories with you.
Thank you, Brittany. And I'm Heather DeFino, and I work in the Academic Success Center. I am the second year experience coordinator, and I am putting on this Meet Your Major month to help our students explore. We know it can be a challenging time, and we all know that career paths aren't necessarily linear, so it's a great place and a great time to try and figure that out. So I would like to present you with our next question. I'd love to know a memory or a moment from your time at Brockport that had an impact on your life. So it can be a moment, it could be a memory, whatever that is for you. Perhaps it was an involvement in an activity. Maybe it was not knowing what you wanted to do. Perhaps it was making a connection or changing your major. But I want to know what that impactful moment was for you, and kind of what that looked like. And anyone that would like to share, feel free to start the ball rolling. And maybe if you want to just kind of raise your hand, I'd be happy to call on you that way. All right, Justin, and then we'll go over to Mike.
Yeah, so for me, it correlates exactly to what I do now, which was I got to study abroad when I was at Brockport. I grew up in a small town, so I had a real limited view of the world. So I was very fortunate to get to study abroad in Ghana, West Africa, as an undergrad junior year, which changed my life because I learned that like the world is not like what I saw on television. And that was really impactful for me because I didn't think about it at that time, but it really led to a career interest and a curiosity to want to explore the world more. So, you know, like I said, once you get bit by that travel bug, it never gets, you know, it never goes away. So that would be my impactful experience that really had an impact on me and my career trajectory.
Thank you for sharing. Michael?
Yeah, I'm going to say probably my two impacts were two people that I met on campus. One being working for the radio station. If you're around Brockport long enough, excuse me, you would know a guy named Warren Kozareski. They call him Koz. He's the general manager of the radio station. But what he was to me was, even after I decided I was going to change careers and go back for my teaching license, he was a guy that he could talk about academic advising, he could talk about your major, he could talk about your classwork. But you could also sit on his couch and just talk and like answer questions that were not like at all academic related. So that's something that I carry with me today, that as a teacher, I'm going to talk about, you know, Genghis Khan and world history and all this stuff. And I'm going to talk about the X and O's on the football field. But it's important as an educator that I'm working with my students every day, like about them and taking care of them. And then once I started to become a coach, you have to take all those coaching classes. And at the time, there was a man on campus named Jim DeBell. He was an alum of Brockport. He was a coach at Brockport for years, and he kept teaching the coaching classes afterward. And he was just a super cool guy. And I'll never forget the day this man wore, we had him once a week in a night class, and he wore a 3-piece matching color suit down to the shoes. And I'll never forget, I had a royal blue hat on because Brockport High School's colors are royal blue. And he had on a royal blue suit. And he stopped class to make the joke that if he was wearing my blue hat, he would literally be blue from head to toe. So I loaned him my hat, and he taught the entire 3-hour course wearing my hat with his royal blue suit. And it was just, that's the type of people that you meet on campus at Brockport. And that's why I'm so drawn to the campuses. There's 100 of stories like that. Like every student has that professor or that coach or that, you know, academic advisor that just really leads them. And I was fortunate to have several of them. So that's like what stuck with me at Brockport.
Thanks for sharing. Seth?
Yeah, I actually had a similar experience that Mike just talked about. I actually got a second chance at Brockport, both academically and athletically. I went to Nazareth College first in Rochester, New York, and I was very young and I was immature, and I made a lot of bad decisions about my time and, you know, what I was going to do and academics and all that type of stuff. So I failed out after a year. I worked for about 5 years or so, and then decided that I needed to make a change in my life and go back to school. I went to MCC, local community college in Rochester, and transferred to Brockport after a couple years for physical education. And when I got to Brockport, the head coach at the time for the men's basketball team was now where previously was the assistant coach that recruited me at NAS. And so I was immediately able to make that reconnection with him. I was able to get involved with the men's basketball team, and he gave me another opportunity at a college basketball career that I may not have had otherwise. So that was super impactful for me, a great connection. And then once I got to Brockport and I got into my classes and started my coursework, I had a similar experience as Mike with a lot of the faculty. They were, very supportive, and they really wanted to see all the students be successful, and the curriculum was rigorous and it challenged me. And even though I didn't go into that line of work in terms of being a physical education teacher or athletic director, the rigor of the program and the faculty that were there really prepared me to do anything I wanted to do, and have prepared me to be successful in my career now.
Thank you, Seth. Grace.
Like Justin had mentioned, I went to a very small high school. I'm from a very rural area in downstate New York. I graduated about 70 people. So it was very different for me going to a college campus, and I was very sure of myself in high school. But when I started my first year, things were a little different. And academically, I was very supported by my professors. Actually, one of my professors, Dr. Malik, was in the history department. He just retired this year. He is 84 years old, but he was wonderful to me my first semester. I was in a course with him, and he really took me under his wing, and I would go to his office hours frequently, and he was very helpful. And really getting involved on campus, I became a resident assistant after my first year, and that opened up so many more opportunities for me on campus, and I really felt like I could get out of my shell and become more comfortable with who I am and finding new people and taking new opportunities.
Bruce? Oh, Bruce, you're muted.
Okay. Relationships. I am still very close to two friends from my Brockport days. And this is, I won't tell you, but it's over 40 years ago, which means I must be over 30. And we're still talking every week and getting in touch with each other. We're involved in each other's lives. We visit each other. On an academic note, there was a professor, Rob Sarmiento, who was in the psychology department. And I used to do research projects for him for a couple of years. And he kind of steered me towards staying in psychology rather than entering education at that point in time.
Thank you all for sharing. I want to continue on with this thought because I think we're bringing back some great memories, and we're starting to uncover and unpeel this onion of how you started to get where you were and what those impactful moments were. And it sounds like there was a lot of people that were impactful. So I want to move forward and ask a little bit more about how describing your career path and how Brockport helped you achieve those goals now where you are. So you kind of shared, some of you shared a little bit how Brockport has impacted you a little bit, how you are where you are, but I kind of want to go a little bit deeper. I'd like to hear, how you explored Brockport, when you got here with your major or your minor or not knowing, and how maybe an experience has gotten you where you wanted to go without even knowing that. All right, Michael, you raised your hand. You want to start and kick us off?
Yeah, absolutely. So what I'll tell you about Brockport is, and I used to give tours for the admissions office when I was a student there. And I used to always tell students, when you first get to Brockport, within reason, you should say yes to every opportunity that comes about that the campus has to offer. And you can always say no later on. And that little idea, it really triggered a lot of opportunity for me at Brockport. And it started opening weekends. So I was a transfer in my sophomore year from a community college to Brockport. And I really call that first year at Brockport. That was like my freshman year. That was my first actual college experience, because community college to me wasn't. And the first weekend that I was on campus, there was this sandlot volleyball court between McVicker and McFarland that, since I've been back to campus, looks a lot better now than it did when I was there. And just one of my roommates wanted to stop by and play volleyball, and that evolved into being on the volleyball court literally the entire day. We're talking like 6-7 hours with a lunch break. And that volleyball court introduced me to some of my best friends and people that I still keep in touch with. I've been in several weddings of people that were, that I met on that volleyball court that day. And that evolved into just, that's what got me in the radio station, is meeting people. And that's what got me into working for campus life. And pretty much everything that opened doors at Brockport was just by taking chances on opportunities. And that's one thing that campus, and I'm not sure what other colleges are like because I don't have that experience, but the number of opportunities that Brockport gave me, it opened the doors for the coaching, which then led me to the path that I really was. And it's something I know I never would have ventured back into once I moved from my hometown where I was coaching up to Brockport. I thought that was like a lost opportunity. But the college gave me the opportunity to explore that option. And I've made a career out of just weird opportunities that Brockport gave me. I play-by-play for the radio station for 2 years, traveled all over the Eastern Seaboard with the college, with the Brockport football team, became really close with a lot of the players and now the head coach, Jason Mangone, Rocco Salomon before that. So it's just, again, it goes back to just take advantage of the opportunities that the campus gives you. And you might come into campus with one career choice, and those opportunities are going to take you to the career that you actually want.
Thank you for sharing. Grace, would you like to go next?
Yeah, I'll just echo the importance of taking any opportunity that comes your way. That's how I felt when I first became a resident assistant. It just opened up so many different doors for me. I was a student support intern for student accessibility services on campus, so I got to work with different students, and that was aligned with my career goal. And I mean, right now my position, I'm a graduate assistant, which is really wonderful because I get to go to grad school for free, which is very helpful if you are interested in going to grad school. And that's a position that I applied for because I worked in summer leave as a teaching assistant one summer. And that was a position I found because I talked to my professor one day after class about the summer program that is attached to SUNY Brockport and working with students from Rochester City School District, and would I want to become involved? And it just snowballed into the opportunities that I have now. And I think it can be overwhelming to constantly feel like you need to say yes to things. So you definitely need to think about what you're saying yes to, and is it something that's really aligned with what you want to do? But I think that's one of the things I can really appreciate about Brockport is it is a big enough campus where you don't have to see the same two people every single day, but it's a small enough campus where you really are able to do so many different opportunities and build really strong relationships with ultimately people who do care about you. I just had a meeting with one of my professors today. Of course, like many of you on this call, I am also a student in COVID and online and balancing classes. And I've really found that my professors have been so helpful, and those relationships were ones that I built in undergrad. So definitely building relationships has just really changed the outcome, and I am definitely not where I thought I would be when I first got to campus first year.
Thank you, Grace. Justin.
Yeah, I got to echo the same thing that Grace and Michael were saying about the opportunities at Brockport. Coming in as a first generation student, like I didn't know how to navigate campus or kind of what the world and transition into the real world would be like ahead. But Brockport for me was like an opportunity, almost like a theme park, because there are so many things that you can get involved with, clubs, organizations, sports, all these things. And it helped build a skill set that like launched my career when I graduated, because I had something unique like a study abroad experience under my belt. And I also got to work at Brockport for my first 5 years of my career in different offices and gain experience. So yeah, there's so many experiences that you're going to get under there that really will open up, like I said, the gateways to, Mike's down in New York City and Bruce is down in Virginia. So it really opens up the world. I'm in California. We've got alumni all over the place. And it's just, once again, taking advantage of those opportunities, and it will clarify your career goals and your interests along the way, but it really gives you a great foundation to go into the real world with.
Thank you, Justin.
Yeah, I'll jump in here. So for me, it was people paying attention, I guess, and really noticing potential that existed within me, even at times when I didn't notice it myself. And that was an important thing for me as I kind of, moved along, my life and got involved in more involved in education and of course now, where I'm at. But it has been through that recognition of people that I have been around at Brockport that have noticed my hard work, have noticed my potential, have connected me with certain opportunities that existed on Brockport's campus. And it's tied into everything that, Justin, Grace, and Mike just spoke about. So that to me is a big thing. And that's something that I've tried to do as I continue to work on Brockport's campus, is to really pay attention, pay attention to the students and really notice the potential that they have, notice the qualities that they have, and really just try to help, get them connected in as many ways as possible. But, I don't have a lot of experience on other campuses. It's been at Brockport, but at the end of the day, I don't really need to. I know that Brockport is a place that those types of people are there and care and are supportive and are paying attention and are there to help recognize your potential and get connected as well.
Bruce.
Yeah, I'm feeling a lot of the same things in terms of the ability to go to so many different things. I remember my first semester, my freshman year, I had a particular friend. We must have gone to over a dozen different clubs and activities. I can only imagine how many there must be on campus right now. But the three big themes for me were legal, counseling or psychology, and education. I was on the student judicial court, which used to exist back then in Stage 16, which was an apartment complex that is long gone. And that has played a role in my life, psychology and education. Okay, my first job was I was in charge of discipline in residence halls. I had also been a dorm director, so that the legal issue came in, and it came back several times during life. And then psychology and education, I'm a school psychologist, so that blended those two things together. But I've had other jobs that also blended those things together. I just think that there's so much opportunity. All you have to do is decide you're going to work hard to find it. I think people leave college without any sense of really how much there is out there. I know I did. And I can just imagine with all of the opportunities that are out there today, it must be very hard to choose one particular thing or two particular things.
Thank you for sharing. I'm kind of hearing a general theme here about this saying yes and feeling supported and just knowing that you're in an environment where people want you to be successful and they're there for you. And so by taking that risk and taking that challenge to step outside that comfort zone maybe and attempt to join a club virtually now in today's world, that's where we're going, or to walk by a table outside and just stop and ask what's going on here is a great way to see if that might navigate to a career path you don't even know. And if you don't know, then that's okay too, because it's okay to explore. I want to pose a question to you guys here, and I want to know, did any of you ever change your major or switch a minor? You can just kind of raise your hand if that's the case. I see some laughing going on. All right, I want to know that story. All right, who are we going? We'll start with, we'll go with Michael, and then we'll go over to Justin.
Oh yeah, I came to Brockport thinking I was going to be a math teacher, and then I got involved in a radio station. And then in the middle of that, I decided I was toying with the idea of being a business administration major because that's what I was when I went to my freshman year. So I was like, oh, let me default back to what I thought I wanted to be. And then coaching told me, like, no, you dummy. I was given a choice. The spring that I was going to graduate, Brockport High School offered me a paid coaching gig at the same time that I was offered a sales job in New York City. At a radio station, a chain of them down here. And I was like, there's no way I want to sit in a cubicle. Coaching is the thing that's made me the happiest. So in the 11th hour, we're talking 2 months before I graduate with a degree in broadcast communication. I turned the sales job down in New York City. I accepted the coaching job at Brockport. And then I was like, okay, now I got to go find a whole different degree if I'm going to do this task. So I definitely changed my major a couple of times. And at the moment, my parents were like, what are you doing? I'm thinking I'm wasting days in my life. And I'm like, at the end of the day, like, it's okay. And I know, like, I'm thinking I was in my second year at Brockport. I was the same boat a lot of these sophomores might be, thinking I came to college, I've taken all these classes, and I don't know what I want to do right now. And it's perfectly, you can jump around. I switched a couple of times at Brockport, but I wouldn't go back and change a single thing because the opportunities that it gave me, and it really made sure that by the time I graduated, I knew exactly what I wanted to do.
Thanks for sharing. Justin, you want to pop in? You raised your
Yeah.
hand there?
Like Mike, my fellow 2009 alum, I also came in to be a teacher. I thought I was going to be a business teacher and coach wrestling because that's what I did at Brockport. But my sophomore year, I actually took a public speaking class, and that was something that I struggled with in high school, and that changed my complete trajectory. I enjoyed the class. I learned a lot from it. I enjoyed the department, and then that got me exposed to like other career paths, public relations, things of that nature. And then, like I said, fortunately for some of the skills and experiences that I had, it really benefited me once I graduated. And, I'd never thought about going into higher ed, but I got a job in the admissions office, and I feel like I haven't graduated college yet because I still work in the college environment. So yeah, enjoy the plot twists that come your way. Don't stress out. As Michael was saying, it all leads to somewhere, and it's all for a good cause in some way, shape, or form. Either you learn what you don't want to do, or you'll get closer to what you might want to do further on.
Thank you for sharing. I appreciate that. I think it's coming down to that idea of transferable skills that you're learning throughout your whole entire life and your time at Brockport, because you can use those skills in many different fashions, in many different careers, and in different jobs. And anything that you take advantage of at Brockport isn't going to steer you in the wrong way. It's just going to give you something else to add to that briefcase, right? Wherever that might take you, it's just going to fill you up and make you more well-rounded as a candidate for wherever life has planned going on here. So my last big question that I have for each of you, if you'd like to share, is what's one piece of advice you might give your past self or current students?
I'll share really quick. If that's okay, I have to head out to class. I would just say, oh, I'm sorry, Justin, I didn't see that your hand was up. I would just say, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but truly taking risks, but also making sure that you're creating an environment where you feel safe to take those risks. My parents told me when I first got to college that you should introduce yourself to your professor first day before class, meet them after class, etc. And I was really nervous to do that because in a lecture hall, there can be a lot of people sometimes. And I did that for every single class. And truly, I think that's one of the biggest impacts that helped me find opportunities and be able to be in a place where I could take risks, because I knew I had people who really did support me and care about me. And especially coming from a small high school where, my parents were both my teachers, I was always used to that type of feeling, and I was able to echo that same in college. So introduce yourself to your professors and faculty and take opportunities as often as you can.
Thank you, Grace. We appreciate you being here as well. All right, I'm going to pop over. I see Bruce is raising his hand, and I see two other hands raised. Let's go over to Bruce.
All right, I did not take enough risks. I entered college, and both my parents had been bookkeepers. They would have been very happy if I became an accountant. So I had this staid background, right? And I knew I was going to major in psychology, and then I picked up education. But I really had a love for marketing and communications, and also for some of the fine art things that had to do with acting, because I had done some acting in high school. I never took courses in any of those things. And I had lots of time and lots of credit hours I could have pushed those things into. And I just really wish I hadn't seen my life so narrowly back then.
Thank you for sharing. All right, we're going to pop over to Justin and we'll do Michael. And then Seth, you can finish us off with that question.
Yeah, kind of piggyback off of Bruce, I would just say enjoy the ride. I took an extra year, so I was a fifth year senior, or I call it the 4+1 plan, because what was the rush? But enjoy the ride. Like, I know it's easy for students to get wrapped up in planning semester to semester, completing those requirements. But if there's classes that you're interested in or opportunities that you want to explore, and I always advocate study abroad just because so few people do it. Some few as U.S. students do it. Take the time, get it in. Because, yeah, once you go in the real world, I mean, you might not get that free time again. So if you can, enjoy your college experience and really max it out to the fullest, since you only get that chapter once in your life, definitely do it.
Yeah, I would go back to the same thing I said earlier, just the idea of saying yes to opportunities. The one thing that I actually do, I don't like having regrets, but the one thing that I actually do think I missed out on was the travel abroad idea, just because I was so wrapped up in everything else on campus and all the other things I was doing. But I guess the one thing that I would say that I think a lot of us deal with is being willing to lean on other people when you're like going through a hard time. And I'm in that same 4+1 plan to get out of Brockport. And I'll tell you what, like there was times where I'm like, I got this. I don't need help. I can do this. I'm good. And then it was like, by the time you realize that you want to like ask somebody for help or guidance, you're so overwhelmed and stressed about it. So, and that's where you build those relationships with professors. And like I talked about Kaz and Jim DeBell earlier, so I'm going to tell you, my second year of Brockport, I was very indecisive. I didn't know what I wanted. I was really unsure. And so I put that as like, that was my sophomore year. So in the lens of sophomore, like this is a time that you should lean on your professors, your classmates, your friends, the people on campus, and really look for, support. And that's the one thing that I would say is do not be afraid to reach out to whoever you feel is like your support net at the college, whether it's a friend, professor, whatever. Because it's there and it'll make your college experience that much more enjoyable when you're not always trying to do things on your own.
Yeah, I agree with everything. I mean, just outstanding advice all the way around. One of the couple things that I would say is don't stand in your own way. A lot of times when I'm talking with people or students, and I'll say, hey, here's an opportunity. Sometimes the first thing that's mentioned is, I don't know if I can do that because of A, B, or C, right? So don't stand in your own way. Eliminate those types of roadblocks and questions in your own mind so that you can move forward and get questions answered. And take advantage of opportunities. I think Justin mentioned study abroad, which is amazing, and I've mentioned that in a freshman seminar class that I've taught for the last 6 years or so. And sometimes that's what happens, questions about finances and other things start to come up. And it's just like, take the opportunity to find out more information, get questions answered, because there's a lot of possibilities out there that are possible and achievable. That goes back to the point that Heather was talking about, filling your briefcase. So when I talk to the students, I always talk to them about, doing as much as you can before you graduate, because when you graduate, you're going to walk that stage with hundreds or thousands of other students, not only at Brockport, but within the immediate area. So done to kind of diversify yourself and your own experiences during your time at Brockport for your undergraduate degree. So I'd encourage anybody to do that as much as they can.
Thank you all for sharing. I really appreciate you taking the time to share a little bit more about kind of your piece of advice or what you might want to change if you were to go back, or what you wouldn't do differently. So we really appreciate that. And I'm going to leave it open here in case anyone wants to ask each other questions among the panel, or anything else they'd like to add in that maybe they didn't share regarding kind of their path or their career. Or if students, if you have a question, you're welcome to type it into the chat, or you're welcome to raise your hand and we can call on you. If you have something you want to ask our alum or you've been wondering, now's the time to do so.
I know there's something I wanted to add that. Can you hear me?
I can. We're gonna have you added. Did I just see a hand go up real quick? I'm just gonna pause you for a second, Justin. I think I saw Sonia, and then we're gonna have Justin pop in there. I can't tell when hands are up or down, but Sonia, why don't you go ahead?
Hi, so I'm currently a student here at Brockport College, And you mentioned studying abroad, but I just came in, so I kind of missed a part of it. I really want to travel to Spain, but I know like the whole COVID situation is kind of like troubling at the moment. So is there anything you suggest for that situation?
Sure, and definitely talk to the team at the Study Abroad office. The Lindsays are amazing. Dylan's over there. They have a great crew. So one of the things I can say that's unique with studying abroad now is that some schools are looking at virtual internships. So while the world might not be open at the moment, Sonia, for students to travel abroad and for travel restrictions, you could explore a virtual internship possibility if that's something Brockport has, where you could still kind of gain a little bit of cultural insight to a place while getting work experience. So that's something that we've been doing here in Berkeley with our students. And if you can't study abroad internationally, you also might be able to do an internship domestically as well through the Study Abroad office. So those are things that you could also explore. But definitely do it. You've got plenty of time. The world will get back to our new normal soon.
Yeah, if I could just add to that, I want to echo what Seth has said earlier, is the whole idea of not standing in your own way, right? Like I get COVID and there's that threat, but don't put travel abroad as like a never going to happen, because right now we're in this situation. I think Justin hit the nail on the head. Like, start looking into the conversation now, start meeting with that office now and see what options are here now. And then those will open doors for things down the line. And sometimes that's how you have to do things, is you might not be right where you want to go right now, but start creating those opportunities. So when, the world gets back to where we can do things that we want to do, you don't have to like start from scratch.
Let me add to that the State Department has something called the YES program, where they send students for free to different countries. I have a high school junior who might wind up going to Malaysia next year, but even if she doesn't, she's in this cohort where they meet a couple of times a week and just talk about it, and she learns the culture, and she gets to participate with other people who are learning the same sorts of things.
What did you say that was called? The
YES program, and it's part of the State Department.
Okay, thank you all.
You're welcome.
Sonia, can I ask where you're originally from before you came to Brockport?
Oh, I'm from Putnam County.
Okay.
So it's like right near White Plains, an hour away from the city.
Okay.
And
how do you like the college so far?
Oh yeah, I really like it. I'm actually a sophomore, so I've had a year of experience, so it's very different from last year, but yeah. I'm really enjoying it, and I'm trying to really get involved in the community, even though everything's basically online, but still trying.
Right.
Sonia, I want to tap in one more thing to think about. I know a lot of the work of study abroad, you kind of think within that 4 or 5 year plan that it has to happen. But I also want you to think outside of that box, because there's a lot of opportunities after that still are kind of tied to figuring out your career. There's opportunities to go abroad and do service abroad after your time at Brockport. There's opportunities to teach abroad through different companies after your time at Brockport, even if that's not your major. There's a lot of cool ways to still do opportunities overseas or traveling the world through different organizations. So if it, for whatever reason, the world doesn't happen to turn back in time, there might be an opportunity, if it's getting back on its feet by the time you're leaving here, that you could still attach that on and make that a new opportunity, and maybe even tie into your career goals.
Yeah, my major is actually nursing, so I don't know, I thought it would be kind of difficult, but I know that there are also travel nurses, so.
There's Peace Corps, there's travel nurses, there's a lot of different opportunities abroad where you could be serving and working in communities in some form of healthcare fashion.
Mm-hmm.
There's mercy ships and other kind of medical interventionists that travel to different countries and provide whatever services they can.
And what is everyone's jobs now, I guess you could say, because you're all an alumni. So what were your majors? And also, I have a question, if anyone was in the honors program. Honors college.
Didn't exist when I was there. Psychology and elementary education, and I'm a school psychologist now.
Oh, nice.
Sonia, my major at Brockport was actually broadcast communications, and now I am a high school teacher and varsity coach in New York City.
Oh, cool.
Very different.
Yeah.
Hi, Sonia. My name's Seth. My major was physical education, undergraduate, and then I earned my master's degree in athletic administration at Brockport. And I still am at Brockport. I love it there. I work there as the assistant director of transfer credit services, and I'm also an assistant men's basketball coach.
Nice.
And Sonia,
I was not in the honors program.
Same here. I definitely wasn't
Sorry,
in the honors
Justin.
program. No, I'm right there with you, Seth. I wasn't in the honors program. But Justin Oliver, I was a communication major at Brockport. Also got my master's degree in public admin, and I worked in summer sessions and study abroad at UC Berkeley in California.
Oh, cool.
And with nursing, I will say you definitely could study abroad. Like winter session was a good time for students. When I was a student, they would fit in a study abroad during that winter break.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to do, but you know.
Do you have any other questions, or does the panel want to ask anyone anything while we have a few more minutes just before we wrap up today? And Sonia, I do want to let you know, and everyone else that's listening, it's being recorded, so you will be able to kind of catch the whole thing through our YouTube channel.
This is something that when I host alumni like socials down in New York City and I get to meet new alumni, I always ask them what keeps them coming back. Like, I know my story and I know why I'm here, but I always ask alumni, like, what about Brockport keeps them coming back to alumni events or things like this? So what is it about the campus that draws you? Especially Bruce, I'm curious of what keeps you connected.
I'm not sure what keeps me connected. I read the newsletter every month. I'm online watching the games sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the one who kind of tells my friends, roommates and stuff how we're doing in different athletic events. I just feel like it's part of giving back, noblesse oblige, to just stay involved and to give whatever you can give. I know I'm the longest termer here. So, I think part of it is I've tried to give money every year. I've tried to stay involved as best as I can. And I had a really positive experience in college. And there's part of me that still wants to keep that alive. And, the candle is still burning for that. And there's roommates that feel the same way. But thanks for asking.
Yeah, for me, I mean, obviously, like I said, I worked at the campus, but even if I didn't, I would return it as often as I could. And the reason why is the people. The people there, again, are just, phenomenal. I've made so many great, strong relationships, not only as a student, but as a staff member on campus. And it's just a really positive, supportive place to be. When you're around good people, it feels good to be around those people. So like I said, even if I didn't work on campus, I would definitely come back for the people and for those reasons.
Yeah, it'd have to be the same for me as what Ruth and Seth were saying. The people, it's the community piece. Like, I still have a group text message with my old roommates, from college, and the staff there. I've been following. There's some like tournament that's going on, or the most popular staff or something like that. I've been kind of keeping note on. So that's special. I do wonder about the food. The food was always something too that I enjoyed about Brockport, whether it was Jimmy Z's and all those other cool places, y'all. So I can't wait to have a garbage plate.
In the 70s, there was no food on campus anyone enjoyed. There was this joke that they called the pork log and the turkey log. They were the exact same thing, except they had different gravies on them, just to give you an idea.
I have to tell you, I don't remember what social media feed it was, but one of the Instagram stories had a football player on the other day praising the Brockport Diner as like the greatest food he ever had. I liked the Brockport Diner, but it was very startling that was the food of choice that he picked out of Brockport. But yeah, I think a lot of what you guys are saying is the same thing. It's like I love giving back because of the memories and the opportunities. Like, I know I wouldn't be where I was if it weren't for the fact that I stumbled upon Brockport. My high school football coach is the one that actually told me I should go there. And I knew from the day I stepped on campus for the tour. So, I'm a part of the Alumni Association and all of that. And I need to tell you, I'm a little disappointed it's really hard to put an old timer like me against somebody who just graduated in May in the first round of that, like, most spirited alumni. My friends will tell you down here that I was quite distraught when I didn't make it to the second round. But it's something about the connection of just those memories and those opportunities, knowing where I am now came out of those, is why I love doing stuff like this. And then to be able to like reconnect with, I haven't spoken to Justin face to face, and I guess this is the closest we're allowed to do it, in a long time. And Brittany and her husband was my roommate for 3 years, at Brockport. So just all these connections you get to build are incredible. So even though I live down here, selfishly, I also know I can call someone when I'm coming back up that way to visit and have a couch to crash on or someone to have dinner with. So it's always good to have those like friendships that stick together for so long.
Well, I'd like to thank each of you for taking the time out to share your story with us today. We hope those of you who are joining or listening in now at the comfort of your own living space have taken away some valuable pieces of information and advice to continue on your academic journey. There is no two stories are alike. So you are on your own path, and your own path is a beautiful path. So we are all here to support you and to help you move forward and figure out what that is, or to get you engaged beyond Brockport, even, as you can see with our alumni. So if you'd like more information, students, about what's happening during Meet Your Major Month, please make sure to check out all the flyers through my Brockport with all the individual virtual open houses. Even if you do have a major, it's still a great chance to figure out how you can engage more in your major through clubs, experiential education, and other activities, or maybe even tagging on an extra minor. As well as we will be having some information on our YouTube channel. So check that out as well. Some more information about different departments, some informational videos about the department. So those are pretty cool too. So thank you again for joining all of us. Thank you, alumni, and we hope everyone has a wonderful night.
Thanks, Heather.
Thanks, Heather.
Bye.